The signal came from deep space at 3:47 a.m. Earth time. Captain Han Wu was drinking his fourth cup of coffee when the computers at the Deep Space Communications Array started screaming warnings. The massive dishes turned toward a distant star system, pulling in a transmission that had traveled for months just to reach them. Han Wu put down his coffee and walked to the main console. The signal was strong, desperate, and broadcasting on every frequency the aliens could manage. He pressed a few buttons and listened as the computer translated the alien language into Korean, then into English. What he heard made his blood run. Cold! Please, anyone who can hear this message, we are the Valani Confederation. Our worlds are dying. Our people are being taken as slaves. We have never known war. We do not know how to fight. They burn our cities and take our children. Please. If there is anyone out there who can help us, we beg you. We are not warriors. We grow food and heal the sick. We have never hurt anyone. But they are killing us all. The voice broke. Han Wu could hear crying in the background and what sounded like explosions far away. We have 5 worlds. 3 are already gone. They took everyone who could work and killed the rest. The children they keep for reasons we do not understand. We have maybe weeks before they take our last 2 worlds. We know this message may never reach anyone. We know no one may care about a species they have never met. But we must try. This is Valani Prime broadcasting to anyone who will listen. Please help us. Please. The message repeated. Han Wu listened 3 more times, then reached for his secure phone. He called his superior, then his superior's superior, then kept calling until he reached the very top of Earth's military command. General. Park Ray answered on the first ring. She was always awake, always ready. Han Wu had worked with her for 10 years and had never seen her sleep. "What do you have for me, Captain?" she asked. "A distress call from the Valani Confederation. 5 agricultural worlds being invaded by something called the Koreth Empire. They're asking for help." "Send me everything," Park Ray said. "I'll have people looking at this in 5 minutes." Han Wu uploaded the signal and all the tracking data. Within an hour, Earth's best scientists and military analysts were studying the message. They found the Valani worlds on star charts. They analyzed the alien languages. They searched their databases for any mention of the Koreth Empire. What they found was not good. The Koreth were known throughout that region of space. They were conquerors who moved from system to system, taking what they wanted and enslaving whoever survived. They were big, strong, and brutal. Most species just ran when they heard the Koreth were coming. But the Valani could not run. They were farmers and doctors who had built beautiful cities on their 5 worlds. They had families and lives, and everything they had ever known was in those systems. They had nowhere to go and no way to fight. The scientists confirmed that the Valani were telling the truth. Satellite images showed burning cities on 3 of their worlds. The other 2 worlds were preparing for invasion. Millions of peaceful aliens were about to die or become slaves. General Park Ray called an emergency meeting with Earth's top military leaders. They gathered in a secure room deep underground, where the most important decisions about humanity's future were made. "The situation is clear," Park Ray told the room. "We have a peaceful species being wiped out by aggressive conquerors. The Valani have asked for help. Earth needs to decide if we're going to answer." Admiral Chen raised his hand. "What kind of help are they expecting? They asked for anyone who could help them. They probably think we'll send a fleet." "They don't know anything about us," Colonel Martinez added. "For all they know, we're just another agricultural species like them. They have no idea what humans are capable of." General Park Ray smiled. It was not a kind smile. Then maybe it's time they learned, and maybe it's time the rest of the galaxy learned too. She stood and walked to the big screen that showed the Villani star system. 3 worlds were marked in red, already fallen. 2 were marked in yellow, under threat. "We're not sending a fleet," she said. "We're not sending an army. We're not sending diplomats or peacekeepers or aid workers." The room was quiet. Everyone knew that look on General Park Ray's face. It meant someone was about to have a very bad day. "We're sending our best people, the ones who know how to end wars quickly, the ones who make our enemies wake up screaming, the ones who can turn 7 humans into the nightmare that entire species tell stories about." She pressed a button and 7 faces appeared on the screen. Each file was marked with the highest security classifications. Each person had a record that would make hardened soldiers nervous. Kim Do, our best Special Operations Commander. Currently working private contracts, but he'll come back for this. Lee Na, the sniper who has never missed a shot that mattered. Choi Jun, who can make a bomb out of anything and has blown up 3 different mountains. Song Mi, our psychological warfare expert who once made an entire army surrender without firing a shot. Yoon Tai, who can kill someone with his bare hands in 47 different ways. Jang Bo, our best hacker and tech warfare specialist. And Shin Yu, the combat medic who has saved more lives and taken more lives than anyone else in our military. The tab room was silent. These were legends, stories told in whispers. People who had done things that were classified so far above top secret that most of the people in the room had never heard their real names. 7 people? Admiral Chen asked. Against an entire empire? 7 humans, General Park Ray corrected. The Korath think they understand war because they can beat peaceful farmers. They're about to learn what war really means. She turned back to the screen showing the Villani worlds. The Villani asked for help. They probably expect us to send ships and soldiers and weapons. Instead, we're going to send them something the galaxy has never seen before. We're going to send them the most dangerous thing in the known universe. "Which is?" Colonel Martinez asked. General Park Ray's smile got wider and colder. "Humans who are angry and have been told they can do whatever it takes to win." She picked up her phone and started making calls. In 12 hours, 7 people would be pulled from whatever they were doing and brought to a secret base. In 24 hours, they would be on a ship heading toward the Villani system. The Korath Empire had no idea what was coming for them. Neither did the Villani. Neither did the rest of the galaxy. But they were all about to find out why humans were the one species that no one ever wanted to make angry. Kim Do was cleaning his rifle when the call came. He sat in his small apartment in Seoul, maintaining the weapon he had carried through 37 different conflicts on 12 different worlds. The phone that rang was special. Only one person in the universe had this number. "General Park Ray needs to see you," the voice said. "Car will be there in 10 minutes. Kim Do did not ask questions. He packed his gear, left a note for his landlord, and waited by the window. When the black car arrived, he was ready. Lee Na was on a rooftop in Tokyo, practicing shots at targets 2 kilometers away. Her rifle was custom-built, designed specifically for her hands and her eyes. She could hit a coin from distances that other snipers considered impossible. The phone buzzed against her ear. "Pack everything," the voice said. "You're going off-world." Lee Na smiled. She had been waiting for something interesting to happen. Choi Jun was in his workshop in Busan, surrounded by chemicals, wires, and half-built devices that would terrify most people. He could make explosives from household cleaning supplies, turn a cell phone into a remote detonator, and had once destroyed an entire military base using only materials he bought at a grocery store. The phone call was short. "Bring your toys," the voice said. "Big job." Choi Jun started filling his bags with equipment that looked innocent but could level city blocks. Song Mi was teaching a class at the university in Seoul. Her students thought she was a psychology professor. They had no idea that she had spent 10 years breaking the minds of enemies and making them beg to surrender. She could find anyone's deepest fears and use them as weapons. The message came as a text. Class dismissed. New students waiting. She told her class that she had a family emergency and would be gone for several weeks. Her students were disappointed. They thought she was just a nice teacher who understood people very well. Yun Tai was training in a gym in Daegu, moving through combat forms that had been passed down for hundreds of years. He had learned martial arts from masters in 17 different countries and had added his own techniques based on real fights where people died. The call interrupted his practice. "Time to go to work," the voice said. Yun-tae bowed to the empty gym and gathered his gear. His bag contained weapons from around the world, but his most dangerous weapons were his hands. Jangbo was in his apartment in Incheon, surrounded by computers and screens showing networks from around the galaxy. He could hack into any system, control any device, and make technology work in ways its creators never intended. Military databases, alien communication networks, starship navigation systems, nothing was safe from him. His computers all showed the same message at the same time. "New job. Pack your gear." Jangbo grinned. It had been months since he had a challenge. Shin Yu was working in a hospital in Gwangju, saving lives during her time off from saving lives in wars. She was the best combat medic in human space, able to keep people alive in impossible situations and kill enemies with the same hands that healed patients. The call came while she was stitching up a patient. "Finish up," the voice said. "You're needed elsewhere." Shin Yu completed the surgery, told her supervisor she had to leave for a family emergency, and packed her medical gear alongside her combat equipment. Within 6 hours, all 7 people were on planes heading to a secret military base in the mountains. They had worked together before, though never all at the same time. Each knew the others by reputation. Each respected what the others could do. They met in a briefing room that did not appear on any official building plans. General Park Ray was waiting for them with a large screen showing star charts and alien worlds. "Thank you all for coming," she said. "I know you have questions, but first, let me show you why you're here." The screen showed the Villani distress signal. They listened to the translated message, watched satellite images of burning cities, and saw the peaceful aliens begging for help. "The Villani have never fought a war," General Park Ray explained. "They grow food and heal the sick. They have no weapons, no military training, no concept of organized violence. They are being conquered by the Koreth Empire, a species that specializes in enslaving peaceful worlds." Kim Do leaned forward. "What kind of military does the Koreth have?" "Large, brutal, and effective against species that don't fight back. They rely on overwhelming force and intimidation. They've never faced real resistance." "How many of them?" Li Na asked. Intelligence estimates put their invasion force at around 50,000 soldiers across the Volani system. They have ships, heavy weapons, and complete control of 3 worlds already, Song-Mi smiled. And they're expecting what kind of response? None. The Volani have been broadcasting their distress call for months. No one has answered. The Korath think they're safe to finish their conquest without interference. Choi Jun was studying the star charts. How long do we have? 2 weeks. Maybe 3, before they move on the last 2 Volani worlds. After that, the entire species will be extinct or enslaved. Yun-Tae cracked his knuckles. 7 people against 50,000. 7 humans against 50,000 aliens who have never faced humans, General Park Ray corrected. There is a difference. Jang Bo was already working on his laptop. What kind of technology do they have? Advanced by galactic standards, primitive by ours. Their computers are vulnerable, their communications are unencrypted, and their weapons are designed for intimidating farmers, not fighting real soldiers. Shin Yu was reading through medical files on both species. The Korath physiology shows they're stronger than humans, but slower. The Volani are about our size, but completely non-violent. They've literally never seen warfare. General Park Ray nodded. Which brings us to the mission parameters. The Volani ask for help. Earth has decided to provide it, but we're not sending a fleet or an army. We're sending the 7 of you. Rules of engagement? Kim Do asked. Whatever it takes to save the Volani and stop the Korath. The only limit is that you cannot harm innocent civilians of any species. Everything else is authorized. The room was quiet for a moment. These 7 people had worked together on missions before, but never with this level of freedom. No political considerations, no diplomatic constraints, no rules except to win. Equipment? Li Na asked. Whatever you need. Money is no object. If it exists, we can get it for you. Transportation? Choi Jun added. A ship designed by our best. Engineers, equipped with everything you might need for extended operations. Stealth capabilities, fabrication equipment, medical bay, and enough firepower to level a city if necessary. Song-Mi was reading intelligence reports on her tablet. The Korath think they understand warfare because they can beat peaceful species. They've never encountered psychological warfare, asymmetric tactics, or humans who fight dirty. They're about to get an education, Yun-Tae said quietly. Jang Bo looked up from his computer. I can have access to their entire network within hours of arrival. Communications, navigation, weapons systems, everything. Shin Yu closed her medical files. I can keep us all alive and operational, and if we capture any Korath, I can make sure they stay alive long enough to answer questions. Kim Do stood up. When do we leave? General Park Ray smiled. Your ship launches in 18 hours. Flight time to the Volani system is 11 days. That gives you time to plan, prepare, and decide how you want to introduce the galaxy to human warfare. The 7 deadliest humans alive looked at each other and began to smile. The Korath Empire had just made the worst mistake in their species' history. They had made humans angry. The human ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Volani system. It was small, dark, and designed to be invisible to most scanning equipment. Jang Bo had spent the 11-day journey modifying its stealth systems to work against Korath technology. We're picking up massive amounts of communication traffic, Jang Bo reported from his station. The Korath are coordinating attacks on the 2 remaining Volani worlds. They're planning a final assault in 6 days. Kim Do studied the tactical display showing the system. 3 worlds showed as red, completely under Korath control. Two worlds showed as contested, with Korath ships in orbit and ground forces preparing for invasion. Volani Prime has the largest population, Lina observed, looking through the ship's long-range sensors. About 30 million people in the main city. The Korath have surrounded it but haven't attacked yet. They're waiting, Songmi said, reading intelligence reports. This is psychological warfare. They want the Volani to see what happened to the other worlds. They want them to surrender out of fear. Choi Jun was checking his equipment. How do we get down to the planet without being detected? Leave that to me, Jang Bo said, his fingers flying over his keyboard. I've been studying their sensor networks for days. I can create blind spots. Yun Tai was reviewing floor plans of Volani cities. Their buildings are designed for peaceful people. Lots of open spaces, gardens, community areas. No defensible positions. That actually helps us, Kim Do said. We're not trying to hold territory. We're trying to make the Korath afraid to be here. Shin Yu was reading medical files on Korath physiology. They're reptilian, cold-blooded with excellent hearing but poor night vision. They're stronger than humans, but their reaction time is slower. Their psychology profile shows they're predators who become paranoid when they think they're being hunted. The ship moved deeper into the system, staying hidden among asteroids and space debris. Through the sensors, they could see the Korath. Fleet, massive ships designed to intimidate rather than fight real battles. The aliens had never needed to be subtle. Picking up a transmission from Volani Prime, Jang Bo said. It's addressed to anyone who might be listening. The message played through the ship's speakers. An alien voice, translated by computer, spoke. With exhausted hope, this is Elder Threlm of the Volani Council. If anyone has received our distress calls, please know that we are grateful for any help you can provide. We do not know how to fight. We have tried to hide our people, but the Korath find them. They take the strong ones for slaves and kill the rest. Our children are taken for reasons we do not understand. We have perhaps days before they attack our last cities. If you are coming to help us, please hurry. We are trying to be brave, but we are afraid. The ship was silent for a moment. These 7 humans had heard distress calls before, had seen the aftermath of war and conquest. But something about the Volani's complete helplessness made this different. They don't even understand why this is happening to them, Song Mi said, quietly. They literally cannot comprehend organized violence. Then we'll have to do their violence for them, Kim Do replied. The ship approached Volani Prime under cover of electronic jamming provided by Jang Bo. The planet looked beautiful. From space, blue oceans, green continents, and cities that glowed softly in the darkness. But half the planet showed the orange glow of fires where Korath forces had burned everything they could not use. I'm reading Korath ground positions, Lina reported, using the ship's advanced sensors. They have camps set up around all the major cities, standard intimidation formation, close enough to attack, far enough to make the waiting worse. Landing site? Kim Do asked. Jang Bo highlighted an area on the planet's surface. Old subway tunnels under the capital city. The Volani used them for transportation before they developed flying vehicles. They're abandoned now, but they connect to most of the city. Perfect, Choi Jun said. Underground movement, hidden storage for equipment, and multiple exit points. The ship landed silently in a forest outside the city. The 7 humans gathered their equipment and prepared to meet their first aliens face to face. Remember, Kim Do said as they prepared to leave the ship. The Volani have never seen warfare. They're going to be frightened of us too at first. We need them to trust us." "And the Koreth?" Yuntei asked. "The Koreth need to learn what happens when you threaten species under human protection." They emerged from the ship into alien air that smelled of flowers and smoke. In the distance, they could see the lights of Volani Prime and the darker shapes of Koreth military camps surrounding it. The walk to the city took 2 hours, moving carefully through terrain that the Koreth assumed was empty. Jang Bo's equipment showed them where the alien sensors were located, allowing them to move undetected. The entrance to the old subway system was hidden in a park that had been abandoned when the Koreth arrived. Beautiful alien plants grew wild around structures that looked like art more than transportation infrastructure. Motion sensors indicate Volani civilians are hiding in the tunnels, Jang Bo reported. They're using the old system as a refugee shelter. The 7 humans descended into tunnels that were clearly designed by people who had never considered the need for defense. Everything was open, bright, and peaceful, the complete opposite of human military architecture. They found the first group of Volani huddled in what had once been a station. There were maybe 50 of them. Families with children, elderly individuals, and younger adults who looked lost and afraid. They were tall, thin, and covered in soft fur that changed colors based on their emotions. Right now they were all showing shades of fear. When the humans appeared, the Volani drew back in terror. These strange creatures carried weapons and moved like predators. To people who had never seen violence, the 7 humans looked like monsters. Elder Threlm stepped forward slowly. He was older than the others, his fur silver with age, and his large eyes showed the weight of responsibility for his people. "Are you?" he began, then stopped. "Did you come because of our message?" Kim Do removed his helmet, showing his human face. "Yes, we're from Earth. We received your distress call." The elder's fur shifted to colors of confusion and hope. "But you are only 7 people. We hoped for armies, for ships." "You don't need armies," Songmi said gently. "You need us." "We don't understand," another Volani said. "How can 7 people fight the Koreth? They have thousands of soldiers, ships, weapons." Li Na checked her rifle and looked toward the surface. "Because we know something they don't." "What is that?" Elder Threlm asked. Kim Do's expression was calm, but his eyes were cold. "We know how to make them afraid." The humans set up their equipment in the tunnels, turning the peaceful transportation system into a base of operations. The Volani watched in fascination and horror as these strange aliens prepared for something they could not understand. "What are you going to do?" Elder Threlm asked. Kim Do looked at his team. Each of them was ready. Each of them knew their part in what was coming. "We're going to teach the galaxy a lesson," he said. "When you hurt innocent people, when you take children from their families, when you think you can conquer peaceful worlds without consequences, you get our attention. And then what happens?" the elder asked. Song Mi smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "Then you discover why no one in the universe wants to make humans angry. Above them, the Koreth forces continued their preparations for the final assault on Volani Prime, completely unaware that 7 humans had just declared war on their entire empire. The first Koreth died at 2:17 a.m. local time. Yuntai found him alone at a guard post on the edge of the Koreth camp, looking out into the forest where he thought nothing dangerous could possibly be hiding. The alien was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, with scales like armor and claws that could tear through metal. He carried a weapon that could burn through walls. None of that helped him when a human appeared behind him like a ghost. The Koreth never made a sound. One moment, he was scanning the forest for threats that his commanders assured him did not exist. The next moment he was dead, killed by techniques that no Korath had ever encountered. Yunte dragged the body into the forest and left it where the morning patrol would find it. But first, he used Song Mi's psychological warfare training to arrange the scene. The Korath's own weapon was used to burn a message into a tree in the alien's language. "We are watching you." When the patrol found the body 6 hours later, they could not understand what had happened. The guard was an experienced soldier. There were no signs of struggle, no indication of how the killer had approached. The message burned into the tree was in perfect Korath script, but no Korath would write such a thing. Commander Vex, the Korath officer in charge of the siege, examined the scene personally. He was a veteran of 15 conquered worlds and had never encountered anything like this. "How did they kill him?" he asked his soldiers. "We don't know, sir. No weapon wounds, no signs of violence. He just died." "What about the message?" "Written in our language, but the style is wrong. Like someone copied our letters without understanding what they mean." Commander Vex stared at the burned words. In Korath culture, anonymous threats were the work of cowards or spirits. Since cowards could not have killed his guard so easily, that left only one possibility. "Double the guard rotations," he ordered, "and tell the troops to stay alert for unusual activity." What Commander Vex did not know was that Jang Bo had spent the night infiltrating every electronic system in the Korath camp. Their communications, their weapons, their sensors, everything was now under human control. The second attack came 12 hours later. Li Na had spent the day studying Korath patrol routes from a hidden position 3 kilometers away. Through her scope, she watched their movements and identified the perfect target. A supply convoy moving between camps with only light security. The Korath believed they were safe because no one on this peaceful planet could possibly threaten them. They were wrong. Li Na's shot traveled 2.8 kilometers and passed through 3 different obstacles before finding its target. The Korath convoy leader simply fell over dead while talking to his subordinates. There was no sound of a weapon, no indication of where the shot came from. But that was not the terrifying part. The terrifying part was what happened next. Jang Bo activated every speaker system in the convoy at once, filling the air with sounds that no Korath had ever heard. The recorded roars of Earth's most dangerous predators mixed with human screams of rage. The surviving Korath ran in panic, leaving their supplies behind. When they reported back to Commander Vex, they could barely speak coherently. "What did you see?" he demanded. "Nothing, sir. The leader just died, and then the machines started screaming. Machines don't scream." "These did, sir. It sounded like something hunting us." Commander Vex was beginning to understand that something was very wrong. His soldiers were elite warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds. They did not panic easily, but 2 attacks with no explanation were making them nervous. That night, Choi Jun introduced the Korath to human demolitions expertise. He had spent the day studying their equipment and supplies, identifying the most psychologically damaging targets. The Korath had stockpiled weapons and food in what they thought was a secure depot. Choi Jun disagreed with their security assessment. At midnight, the depot exploded in a series of blasts that lit up the sky. But these were not ordinary explosions. Choi Jun had mixed Korath chemicals with human techniques to create flames that burned in colors the aliens had never seen. Brilliant purples and greens that hurt their eyes and seemed to move with unnatural intelligence. The explosion was visible from orbit. The Koreth fleet demanded explanations that their ground forces could not provide. "How much damage?" Commander Vex asked when the fires finally died down. 30% of our munitions, sir, and all of our medical supplies." "How did they penetrate? Our security?" "We don't know, sir. The guards were found unconscious but unharmed. They don't remember anything." Commander Vex realized he was facing something unprecedented. In 15 campaigns, he had never encountered an enemy that could strike without being seen, kill without leaving evidence, and disappear without trace. "Send a message to the fleet," he ordered. "Request immediate reinforcement and reconnaissance support." But when his communications officer tried to send the message, Zhang Bo made sure it never reached its destination. Instead, the fleet received a different message: coordinates for a non-existent emergency that sent half their ships to investigate empty space. Song Mi began her psychological campaign on the 4th day. She had studied Koreth psychology during the journey and identified their specific fears and weaknesses. Like most predator species, they were vulnerable to the suggestion that they had become prey. Working with Zhang Bo, she hijacked the Koreth communication network and began broadcasting messages designed to destroy their morale. The broadcasts came at random times, in the middle of normal communications, and always in perfect Koreth language. "We know where you sleep," the messages said. "We know your names. We know your families. We are patient. We are everywhere. We are coming for each of you." The messages were accompanied by personal information that should have been impossible for anyone to obtain. The names of soldiers' families back home, details about their personal lives, secrets they had never told anyone. The Koreth soldiers began to break down. They reported seeing shadows that moved wrong, hearing sounds that could not be explained, finding their equipment rearranged in ways that made no sense. Commander Vex tried to maintain discipline, but his troops were becoming unreliable. Sentries abandoned their posts. Patrol units refused to go out after dark. Veterans who had fought in dozens of battles were jumping at shadows. "Sir," his second-in-command reported, "the troops are requesting permission to withdraw to orbit." "Withdraw? From a planet full of farmers who don't even have weapons?" "Something is hunting us, sir. The men can feel it." Commander Vex wanted to dismiss this as cowardice, but he could feel it too. Something was wrong on this planet. Something was watching them, studying them, taking them apart piece by piece. On the 7th day, Xin Yu made her contribution to the campaign. She had been treating wounded Villani civilians in the tunnels, but she also had another mission. When Koreth patrols ventured too close to human positions, she made sure they encountered something that would haunt them forever. Using her medical knowledge, she created non-lethal compounds that induced hallucinations, specifically designed around Koreth psychology. Soldiers began reporting that their own weapons were attacking them, that their dead comrades were following them, that the very air was alive with hostile intelligence. Commander Vex found 3 of his best soldiers huddled in their barracks, catatonic with fear, mumbling about the ghosts that wear our faces. By the end of the first week, the Koreth force that had been preparing to assault Villani Prime was falling apart. They had lost supplies, equipment, and soldiers to an enemy they could not see, could not fight, and could not understand. "Commander," Vex sent a desperate message to his superiors. "Request immediate evacuation. Unknown hostile force has compromised our position. Conventional military response ineffective." But the message was intercepted by Zhang Bo and replaced with a routine status report claiming everything was proceeding according to plan. Kim Do gathered. his team in the tunnels beneath Volani Prime and reviewed their progress. "Status report," he said. "Their communications are completely compromised," Jang Bo reported. "They can't coordinate between units, and half their messages are being redirected or replaced." "Morale is breaking down," Song Mi added. "They're afraid to go out alone, afraid to sleep, afraid of their own equipment." "Supply lines disrupted," Choi Jun said. "They're running low on everything except fear." "Medical problems increasing," Shin Yu reported. "Stress-related illness, paranoia, and several cases of complete psychological breakdown." "Confirmed kills?" Kim Do asked. 17, Yun Tae said quietly. "All isolated targets, all made to look impossible." Li Na checked her equipment. "They've stopped sending out small patrols. They're too afraid." Kim Do nodded. The first phase of the operation was complete. The Korath ground forces were psychologically defeated, cut off from support, and ready to break completely. "Time for phase 2, he said. Elder Threlm had been watching the humans work with a mixture of awe and terror. These 7 people had done something to the Korath forces that defied his understanding. The aliens who had seemed invincible were now clearly afraid. "What happens next?" he asked Kim Do. "Now we teach them that threatening peaceful species has consequences," Kim Do replied. "Now we show them what humans do to—" Warlord Cruex arrived on Volani Prime with the dawn of the second week. He commanded the Korath Empire's most feared military unit and had never failed to crush resistance on any world. When his personal warship landed at the main Korath base, Commander Vex felt relief for the first time in days. Cruex was everything the Korath admired in a warrior, massive even by their standards, covered in battle scars, and carrying weapons that had killed thousands. His reputation was built on brutality so complete that most species surrendered just hearing his name. "Report," Cruex demanded as he stepped off his ship. Commander Vex tried to explain what had been happening, but the words sounded insane even to him. "Unknown enemy forces have been conducting sabotage and psychological warfare. We've lost contact with several units, and morale is—" "Stop," Cruex interrupted. "Show me these enemy forces." "That's the problem, sir. We can't see them. They strike without warning and disappear completely." Cruex studied the terrified soldiers around him. These were veterans who had conquered worlds, reduced to nervous wrecks by an enemy they claimed they could not find. "How many are there?" "We don't know. Could be dozens. Could be hundreds. They move like ghosts." Cruex's scales rippled with anger. "There are no ghosts. Only cowards who hide in shadows. I will find these phantoms and make examples of them." He turned to address the assembled troops. "I am declaring new rules of engagement. Any Volani found outside designated areas will be executed immediately. Any unexplained incident will result in the death of 100 civilians. These terrorists will learn that their actions have consequences." In the tunnels below, Jang Bo intercepted every word of Cruex's announcement. The 7 humans gathered around their communications equipment to hear the alien warlord's threats. "He wants to escalate," Song Mi observed. "Classic predator response when intimidation fails. Increase the violence." "How many Volani civilians does he have access to?" Kim Do asked. Elder Threlm, who had been listening with growing horror, answered quietly. "About 50,000 in the internment camps around the city. Families they captured when they took the outer settlements." The tunnel was silent for a moment. Everyone understood what Cruex was threatening. Mass murder to force the humans to reveal themselves. "Options?" Kim Do asked his team. We could increase our pressure, make them leave before they start killing civilians, Yun Tae suggested. Or we could go loud, Choi Jun said. Hit them with everything we have. Break their entire force at once. Lee Na was studying intelligence reports. Neither option stops the inevitable. Even if we drive them off this world, they'll just come. Back with more forces. The Korath Empire won't accept defeat from 7 people. So what do you recommend? Kim Do asked. Lee Na looked up from her data. We remove Cruex, permanently, and we do it in a way that sends a message to every Korath in the galaxy. Song-Mi nodded slowly. Psychological warfare on a strategic level. Make his death so impossible, so terrifying, that they become afraid of the consequences of threatening any peaceful species. Can you do it? Kim Do asked Lee Na. She was already calculating distances, angles, and obstacles. He's staying in the fortified command center. Multiple force fields, heavy security, surrounded by his best troops. Conventional assault would be suicide. What about unconventional assault? Choi Jun asked with a smile. The force fields are designed to stop energy weapons and physical projectiles, Zhang Bo said, studying the technical specifications. But they have vulnerabilities. The generators need cooling systems. The emitters require clear lines of sight. And the whole system has to allow communications through. Give me 12 hours, Lee Na said. I'll need support from everyone, but I can make the shot. What kind of support? Kim Do asked. Zhang Bo needs to create a communications window through their shields at exactly the right moment. Choi Jun needs to provide distractions to mask the setup. Song-Mi needs to ensure Cruex is in the right position at the right time. Yun Tai and Shin Yu need to secure our escape route, and Kim Do needs to coordinate everything. What about the message? Song-Mi asked. Killing him is one thing. Making it psychologically devastating is another. Leave that to me, Lee Na said quietly. I have an idea that will haunt them for generations. The preparation took exactly 12 hours. Each team member worked on their part of the operation, while the Korath forces above ground grew more nervous and aggressive. Cruex had begun his promised executions. Every few hours, Korath soldiers would kill 10 Vellani civilians and broadcast the deaths to the city. The warlord's message was clear. Surrender the terrorists or watch everyone die. In the tunnels, the Vellani refugees wept for their people. Elder Threlm approached Kim Do with tears in his large eyes. Please, he said, maybe you should just leave. We cannot ask you to watch our people die for us. Kim Do looked at the alien leader with an expression that was both gentle and terrifying. Elder Threlm, you don't understand what you're asking. You're asking us to abandon innocent people to bullies. You're asking us to let evil win because fighting it is hard. But so many are dying. And many more will die if we let the Korath think they can threaten peaceful species without consequences. This isn't just about your people anymore. This is about every species in the galaxy that might face this choice. Song-Mi had been working on Cruex's psychological profile. She activated her communication equipment and sent a message directly to the Korath commander's personal communication device. Warlord Cruex. The message said in perfect Korath, you kill innocent people because you are afraid. You have never faced real warriors, so you murder farmers and children to feel strong. Tomorrow, you will learn the difference between strength and brutality. Prepare yourself. The message was signed simply, the humans. Cruex received the message while reviewing execution lists. The word humans meant nothing to him. He had never heard of the species. But the confidence in the message, The complete lack of fear made him uneasy. "Who are these humans?" he asked his intelligence officer. "Unknown, sir. The word doesn't appear in any of our databases." "Find out," Cruex ordered. "I want to know everything about them." But there was nothing to find. Earth was too far away, too small, too unimportant for the Korath Empire to have noticed. They had no idea what they were fighting. At 3:47 p.m. local time, Li Na took her position. She was 3.2 kilometers from Cruex's command center, hidden in the ruins of a Villani building that had been destroyed in the first days of the invasion. Her rifle was a masterpiece of human engineering, designed to punch through materials that most species considered impenetrable. The shot itself would be difficult but not impossible. The real challenge was timing. Zhang Bo had identified a 3-second window when the command center's communication systems would create a brief gap in the force field. Choi Jun had prepared distractions to draw attention away from Li Na's position. Song Mi had convinced Cruex to hold his afternoon briefing at exactly the right location. "All teams in position," Kim Do reported through their secure communication network. "Distractions ready," Choi Jun confirmed. "Communications window confirmed for 17 seconds, Zhang Bo said. "Target is in position," Song Mi reported. "Escape." "Route clear," Yun Tae added. "Medical support standing by," Shin Yu concluded. Li Na adjusted her scope and began her breathing exercises. Through the advanced optics, she could see Cruex standing in his command center, surrounded by force fields and guards, believing himself untouchable. The first distraction was an explosion in the Korath supply depot on the other side of the base. Guards rushed toward the sound, drawing attention away from Li Na's area. The second distraction was a communications hack that made every Korath radio broadcast the screams of Earth predators at maximum volume. The third distraction was a series of small explosions that appeared to be incoming artillery, causing the entire base to go to high alert. In the chaos, no one noticed a small communication pulse that created a 3-second gap in the command center's defenses. Li Na fired. The bullet was custom-made for this shot. It was inscribed with human writing in Korath script, "We are inevitable." It was designed to maintain structural integrity through 3 different barriers and a force field, delivering its message along with its payload. The shot traveled 3.2 kilometers in 2.1 seconds. It passed through 2 walls, a vehicle, 3 force field generators, and finally found its target. Warlord Cruex was standing at his command table, pointing at a map and giving orders to kill more civilians. When the universe taught him the difference between predators and apex predators, the bullet struck him center mass, and the most feared warlord in the Korath Empire simply ceased to exist. But Li Na had done more than just kill him. The shot had been planned to create a specific psychological impact. The bullet's trajectory was impossible by Korath standards. No weapon they knew could penetrate their defenses from that range. The message inscribed on the bullet was in perfect Korath script, but written in a style that suggested perfect understanding of their language combined with complete contempt for their culture. When the Korath soldiers found Cruex's body, they also found something else that would haunt them forever. Song Mi had arranged for speakers throughout the command center to activate the moment Cruex died, broadcasting a message in the voice of their dead leader. The death of Warlord Cruex shattered the Korath command structure on Villani Prime. Within 6 hours of the assassination, 3 different commanders claimed authority over the invasion force. Within 12 hours, 2 of those commanders were dead, Killed by their own subordinates in the paranoia that followed, Commander Vex found himself in charge of an army that was falling apart. "Sir, the 3rd Battalion is requesting immediate evacuation to orbit," his aide reported. "They say the humans are in their base." "Are they?" Vex asked. "We don't know, sir. There's no evidence of intrusion, but 17 soldiers claim to have seen impossible things during the night shift." Vex rubbed his scaled forehead. "What kind of impossible things?" "Shadows that moved wrong, equipment that activated itself, messages in human writing appearing on their computer screens." The truth was that Jang Bo had spent the night infiltrating every electronic system in the Korath bases. He planted subliminal messages, caused random equipment failures, and made their own technology turn against them. But the psychological effect was far greater than the actual damage. "What about the orbital fleet?" Vex asked. "Admiral Thek is demanding explanations we cannot provide. He wants to know how 7 unknown aliens killed our best warlord." "7?" Vex looked up from his reports. "How do we know there are only 7? "The initial intelligence estimates, sir, based on the pattern of attacks." Vex thought about this. 7 individuals had destroyed his army's morale, killed his commanding officer, and turned his elite troops into nervous wrecks. It seemed impossible, but the evidence was undeniable. "Send a message to Admiral Thek," he ordered. "Tell him we need immediate reinforcement or complete evacuation. We cannot hold this planet against these humans." But the message never reached the Admiral. Jang Bo intercepted it and replaced it with a status report claiming that the ground forces had everything under control and needed no assistance. In the tunnels beneath Villani Prime, Kim Do was planning the final phase of the operation. The Korath were psychologically broken, but they still held 50,000 Villani civilians as prisoners. Any direct assault would result in massive casualties among the people they were trying to save. "We need them to release the prisoners voluntarily," he told his team. "Or we need to rescue them without the Korath realizing what's happening." "I can get us into their prisoner camps," Yuntae said, "but not all of them at once." "What about creating a general evacuation?" Songmi suggested. "Make them think the planet is about to become uninhabitable?" Choi Jun smiled. "I can make that happen. Give me access to their geological sensors and I can convince them that Villani Prime is about to explode." "That's actually not a bad idea," Kim Do said. "But we need to be careful. If they panic, they might kill the prisoners instead of evacuating them." "Leave the psychology to me," Songmi said. "I can structure the false emergency to encourage evacuation rather than execution." While they planned, Elder Threlm approached with disturbing news. "The Korath have begun moving our people," he said. "Our scouts report that they're loading prisoners onto transport ships." "Moving them where?" Kim Do asked. "We don't know. But there are rumors, stories from other worlds that the Korath have conquered." "What kind of stories?" Elder Threlm's fur shifted to colors of deep sorrow. "They take the young ones, the strong ones. They use them for we don't know what. But the children never come back." The tunnel fell silent. These 7 humans had seen the worst that intelligent species could do to each other, but there were some evils that still made them angry in ways that surprised them. "Change of plans," Kim Do said quietly. "We're not waiting for a careful evacuation. We're going to rescue every Villani on this planet, and we're going to make sure the Korath never forget what happens when they take children. That means going loud," Li Na warned. "Once we start active combat operations, there's no going back to stealth." "Good," Yuntae said. "I'm tired of being subtle." "What about the orbital fleet?" Xin Yu asked. They'll intervene once they realize what's happening. Jiang Bo looked up from his computers. Leave the fleet to me. I've been studying their systems for 2 weeks. I can give us some time. Kim Do studied the tactical displays showing Koreth positions around the planet. Here's what we're going to do. Jiang Bo, I need you to create chaos in their fleet. Make them think they're under attack from multiple directions. Song Mi, broadcast a planet-wide evacuation order in Crew X's voice, ordering all Koreth forces to abandon the surface immediately. Choi Jun, I need you to take out their communication relays so they can't coordinate a response. Li Na, Yun Tai, and Xin Yu, we're going to hit the prisoner camps directly. All of them? Yun Tai asked. All of them. Simultaneously. We save. Everyone. And we do it fast enough that they can't organize a counterattack. Time frame? Li Na asked. 6 hours. If we can't get everyone out in 6 hours, we'll be facing reinforcements from the entire Koreth fleet. The operation began at dawn. Jiang Bo started by taking control of the orbital fleet's sensor networks. He created false signals indicating massive human ships approaching from hyperspace, enemy forces materializing throughout the system, and weapons locks from directions that should have been empty space. Admiral Thek, commanding the fleet from his flagship, found himself facing threat displays that made no sense. His ships reported enemy contacts that disappeared when targeted, weapons fire from empty space, and boarding parties that vanished when security teams investigated. How many human ships are out there? He demanded. We don't know, sir. Sensors show anywhere from 3 to 300. That's impossible. Yes, sir. But our computers insist it's happening. While the fleet chased phantom enemies, Song Mi began broadcasting Warlord Crew X's final orders. Using audio samples and voice synthesis, she created a perfect recreation of the dead commander's voice. All Koreth forces, this is Warlord Crew X with emergency orders. The human fleet has arrived in system. All ground forces are to evacuate immediately. Transport all prisoners to designated collection points for immediate off-world evacuation. This is not a retreat. This is a tactical redeployment to more defensible positions. The message was broadcast on all Koreth frequencies and included authentication codes that Jiang Bo had stolen from their own systems. To the confused and frightened ground forces, it sounded like salvation. Choi Jun began his systematic destruction of Koreth communication networks. He had spent 2 weeks learning their technology, and now he used that knowledge to turn their own equipment into weapons. Communication towers exploded in carefully timed sequences, creating a cascade failure that left the ground forces unable to coordinate or verify orders. While the Koreth infrastructure collapsed around them, the 3 assault teams moved on the prisoner camps. Li Na took the largest camp, where 30,000 Vellani were being held in conditions that made her angry in ways she had not experienced since she started killing people for a living. The Koreth guards were brutal, violent creatures who enjoyed hurting prisoners for entertainment. She eliminated the guard towers first, precision shots from positions the Koreth could not detect. Then she worked her way through the perimeter, killing sentries so quietly that their own patrol partners did not notice they were gone. When she reached the main compound, she found something that made her forget about being subtle. Children. Hundreds of Vellani children separated from their families, kept in cages, marked with symbols that indicated they were destined for shipment off-world. Li Na had killed many people in her career. She considered herself a professional who did unpleasant work because someone had to do it. But seeing those children made her remember why she had first picked up a weapon. The Koreth guards died badly. Yun Tai approached the second camp from underground, using maintenance tunnels that the Koreth had not bothered to secure. His target was smaller, only 8,000 prisoners, but it included the Volani council members and other community leaders. He emerged in the center of the camp like something out of the guards' worst nightmares. The Koreth had never encountered close-quarters combat techniques developed by a species that had been perfecting the art of violence for thousands of years. 17 guards died before any of them managed to trigger an alarm. By the time reinforcements arrived, Yun Tai had disappeared back into the tunnels, taking the Volani leaders with him. Shin Yu's target was the most heavily guarded camp, where the Koreth kept prisoners they considered valuable. These included Volani scientists, doctors, and engineers who could be forced to work for the Empire. She approached the problem like a surgeon, identifying the critical points in the camp's security and cutting them out with surgical precision. Guards found themselves facing an enemy who could heal or kill with equal skill, who understood their physiology better than they did, and who could incapacitate them with techniques they had never encountered. The guards who survived would wake, up hours later with no memory of what had happened to them. Kim Do coordinated all 3 operations from the tunnel complex, monitoring Koreth communications and adjusting the plan as needed. What he heard on their radio channels told him that the operation was succeeding beyond their best hopes. Unknown forces have penetrated Camp 7. The Koreth fleet fled Volani Prime, carrying stories that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of warfare. But their escape was not the clean retreat they had hoped for. Jang Bo had spent the final hours of the evacuation implanting malicious code throughout their ship systems. As the Koreth vessels jumped to hyperspace, they carried digital viruses that would activate during their journey home. Computer systems would fail at random intervals. Navigation would become unreliable. Communication networks would broadcast human psychological warfare materials to every ship in the fleet. Insurance, Zhang Bo called it, to make sure they remember us during the long trip home. Admiral Thek's flagship lost main power 3 times during the journey. Each time, when emergency lighting activated, the walls displayed human writing. In Koreth script, "We are watching you." When power returned, the messages vanished, leaving no trace for investigators to find. By the time the fleet reached Koreth space, half the ships were reporting equipment failures, crew psychological problems, and communications breakdowns. The survivors would never again feel safe in their own technology. On Volani Prime, the aftermath of liberation brought new challenges. 50,000 rescued prisoners needed medical care, food, and shelter. 3 of the 5 Volani worlds were still under partial Koreth occupation. And most importantly, the peaceful aliens had to process what they had witnessed. Elder Threlm found Kim Do in the tunnels where the humans had established their base. The alien leader's fur showed colors of confusion and gratitude mixed with something that might have been fear. "My people are asking questions I cannot answer," Threlm said. "They want to know what you are." "We're humans," Kim Do replied simply. "Yes, but what does that mean? We watched you do things that seemed impossible. You killed their greatest warrior from a distance our best scientists say should have been safe. You rescued thousands of our people without losing anyone. You made an army of 50,000 soldiers afraid of 7 individuals." Kim Do considered how to explain. The Volani were pacifists who had never encountered violence before the Koreth invasion. How could he make them understand a species that had evolved to be nature's perfect killers? "We come from a world that taught us to survive by being dangerous," he said finally. "Every species we've ever met had natural weapons: claws, fangs, armor, poison. We had none of those things, so we learned to make weapons out of everything around us. We learned to think like predators and prey at the same time. We learned to turn our enemies' strengths into weaknesses. But you are so small, Threlm said. Individually, any Korath could overpower any human. Individual combat isn't how humans fight wars, Song-Mi said, joining the conversation. We fight with our minds. We study our enemies until we understand them better than they understand themselves. Then we find ways to defeat them that they never see coming. The Korath are stronger than us, Li Na added. But strength doesn't matter if you can't use it. They're faster than us, but speed doesn't help if you're running in the wrong direction. They have better weapons, but technology means nothing if we control it. Elder Threlm's fur shifted to deeper shades of confusion. I do not understand how you think. When we saw what the Korath were doing to our people, we felt sadness and fear. When you saw the same things, you became something else. Angry, Yun-Tae said quietly. More than angry, Shin-Yu corrected. Focused, determined. When humans see innocent people being hurt, we don't just feel bad about it. We do something about it. Even when it's dangerous? Threlm asked. Especially when it's dangerous, Kim Do replied. Bullies count on good people being too afraid to fight back. That's their mistake when they encounter humans. Choi Jun looked up from the explosive devices he was dismantling. The Korath thought they understood predator behavior. They attack the weak, take what they want, and move on when resistance gets too costly. But humans aren't normal predators. What kind of predators are you? Threlm asked. The 7 humans looked at each other. How could they explain to a peaceful species what humanity really was? We're the kind that hunts other predators, Kim Do said finally. 3 days after the liberation, the first Korath reconnaissance ships returned to the edge of the Vellani system. They stayed far away, just close enough to scan the planets and confirm that their army was gone. Zhang Bo detected them immediately. 3 ships, staying at maximum sensor range. They're trying to figure out what happened here. Let them look, Kim Do said. In fact, let's give them something interesting to see. Working together, the team staged a series of events designed to be visible from space. Choi Jun created explosions that could be seen from orbit. Li Na fired shots at targets positioned to demonstrate impossible accuracy. Song-Mi broadcast messages on frequencies the Korath scouts would be monitoring. The messages were simple. Tell your empire that the humans are here. Tell them what we did to your army. Tell them that every peaceful species in the galaxy is now under our protection. The scouts observed for 6 hours, recorded everything they could, and fled back to Korath space carrying confirmation of humanity's capabilities. A week later, reports began reaching Earth about the aftermath of the Vellani mission. General Park. Ray reviewed the intelligence summaries with satisfaction. The Korath Empire was in chaos. Admiral Thek's report of defeat by 7 humans had been met with disbelief, then anger, then fear, as more ships returned with similar stories. 3 other Korath invasion fleets had abandoned their targets after hearing about what happened at Vellani Prime. More importantly, word was spreading to other species throughout the galaxy. Peaceful civilizations that had lived in fear of aggressive neighbors were learning that someone had answered a distress call. Someone had saved the Vellani. Someone called humans was willing to fight back against conquest and slavery. Status of the team? General Park Ray asked. Still on Vellani Prime, her aide reported. Their training selected Vellani in basic defensive tactics and establishing a monitoring system to detect future threats. Any requests for additional support? They've asked for permission to extend the mission, Apparently, there are other peaceful species in that region who might need protection. General Park Ray smiled. She had expected this. When humans found a cause worth fighting for, they didn't just solve the immediate problem. They solved all. Related problems. Approved, she said. Tell them they have whatever resources they need. On Valani Prime, the 7 humans were discovering that liberation was only the beginning of their mission. Delegates from other species had begun arriving. Agricultural worlds that had heard about the defeat of the Korath, peaceful civilizations that wanted to know if the stories were true. A delegation from the Hyvron Collective arrived with a request that sounded familiar. Our worlds are being raided by pirates, their representative explained. They take our people, steal our resources, and disappear before we can respond. We have tried diplomacy, but they do not listen. We heard that humans help species who cannot defend themselves. Another group came from the Zenth Federation. The Korath have demanded tribute from our colonies. They say if we do not pay, they will do to us what they plan to do to the Valani. But if we pay, our people will starve. We do not know what to choose. Kim Do listened to each request and found himself making commitments that went far beyond their original mission. We'll deal with your pirates, he told the Hyvron representative. Give us their locations and movement patterns. We'll make sure the Korath understand that demanding tribute is a bad idea, he told the Zenth delegation. Send them a message. Tell them the humans said no. Elder Threlm watched these conversations with growing understanding of what his people had stumbled into. By asking for help, the Valani had introduced the galaxy to a species that didn't just solve problems. They prevented them from happening again. What are you becoming? He asked Kim Do privately. What we've always been, Kim Do replied. The people who show up when someone needs help. But now the entire galaxy knows about you. Good. Maybe that will make the bullies think twice before they hurt innocent people. That night, the team received a priority message from Earth. General Park Ray's face appeared on their communication screen with news that would change everything. The President has authorized the creation of a new military organization, she announced. The Human Protection Force. Its mission will be to respond to requests for assistance from peaceful species threatened by aggressive ones. Personnel, Kim Do asked. U7 will be the command structure. We're recruiting volunteers from every branch of the military and several civilian agencies. People who want to make sure what happened to the Valani never happens to anyone. Else? Rules of engagement? Songmi asked. Whatever it takes to protect innocent people? The galaxy is learning that humans exist, and we want to make sure they learn the right lesson. Which is? Li Na asked. General Park Ray's smile was cold and determined. Don't hurt people we care about, because we care about everyone who can't. Defend themselves. The transmission ended, leaving the 7 humans to contemplate their new role in galactic affairs. They had come to save one species and discovered a universe full of people who needed saving. Any regrets? Kim Do asked his team. 6 months after the liberation of Valani Prime, the galaxy had learned a new word. Human. But more importantly, it had learned what that word meant. The Korath Empire was the first to understand. After losing 3 more invasion fleets to human intervention, they issued an unprecedented decree. Any world that claimed human protection was to be avoided entirely. The empire that had conquered dozens of species now went out of its way to avoid confrontation with 7 individuals from a planet most of them could not even locate on a star chart. The change began with small things. Pirate fleets that had raided peaceful worlds for generations suddenly found their activities becoming extremely dangerous. Ships would disappear in hyperspace, their crews never heard from again. Pirate bases would explode for no apparent reason. Communications networks would be infiltrated with messages that made veteran criminals wake up screaming. Word spread through the criminal underworld. Humans were hunting them. No one knew how many humans existed, where they came from, or what their capabilities were. They only knew that attacking peaceful species now carried a death sentence enforced by ghosts who struck without warning. The Thaxan Syndicate learned this lesson when they attempted to raid a Volani agricultural station. 3 pirate ships entered the system expecting easy prey. 2 days later, the ships were found drifting in space, their crews dead and their computers displaying a simple message. The Volani are protected. Find another line of work. The Razak clan made the mistake of demanding tribute from a Hivran colony. They sent their usual threatening message, pay or be enslaved. The response came from someone identifying themselves as Li Na of Earth. It was a single video showing the Razak fleet's flagship being destroyed by a weapon fired from impossible range. The rest of the fleet fled immediately. But the most significant change came when the Koreth Empire itself tried to test human resolve. Emperor Vorthak, ruler of the Koreth Empire, could not accept that his forces had been defeated by 7 aliens from an unknown world. He assembled a massive fleet, over 300 ships carrying 50,000 of his best warriors, and sent them to reclaim Volani Prime. The fleet never reached its destination. Kim Do and his team intercepted the armada, while it was still 2 systems away from Volani space. What followed was not a battle in any conventional sense. It was a demonstration of what humans could accomplish when they stopped trying to be subtle. Zhang Bo took control of the fleet's navigation systems and sent half the ships on random jumps to empty space. Li Na began systematically destroying command ships from distances the Koreth thought were impossible. Choi Jun turned their own munitions into explosives that detonated throughout their formations. Song Mi broadcast psychological warfare that drove crews to mutiny against their own officers. Yun Tai and Xin Yu led boarding actions that defied everything the Koreth thought they knew about space combat. They moved through ship corridors, like nightmares, leaving behind crews that were either dead or too traumatized to fight. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the Koreth Empire had lost its entire strike fleet to 7 humans who never fired a shot from their own ship. Emperor Vorthak received a personal message from Kim Do. Your empire exists because we allow it. Attack any peaceful species again, and we will visit your homeworld. You will not enjoy our hospitality. The message was accompanied by detailed intelligence about Koreth Prime, building layouts, security systems, and the personal schedules of every member of the AE imperial family. The implication was clear. Humans could reach anyone, anywhere, at any time. 3 days later, the Koreth Empire issued a formal declaration of neutrality toward all agricultural and scientific species. They claimed it was a shift in imperial policy. In reality, it was surrender. The news of the Koreth defeat spread across the galaxy faster than light-speed communication. Every species that had lived in fear of aggressive neighbors began to understand that the balance of power had shifted permanently. On Earth, General Park Ray reviewed reports from across human space. Similar interventions were taking place on dozens of fronts. The Human Protection Force had grown from 7 individuals to over 3,000, organized into teams that specialized in different types of threats. Pirates were being systematically eliminated. Slave traders were finding their operations disrupted by enemies they could not fight. Aggressive empires were discovering that conquest carried consequences they had never imagined. Status report, she requested from her aide. 47 successful. Interventions in the past 6 months. 0 human casualties. Enemy losses are classified, but intelligence estimates put them at over 90% fatality rates when they engage our forces. Any diplomatic protests? None, sir. No government wants to officially complain about our protection of peaceful species. Several have quietly requested information about how to qualify for human protection themselves. What about recruitment? Applications are exceeding our processing capacity. We're having to turn away qualified volunteers because we can't train them fast enough. General Park Ray smiled. Humanity had found its purpose in the galaxy, and the galaxy was responding exactly as she had hoped. On Valani Prime, Elder Threlm was hosting a gathering unlike any in his people's history. Representatives from 47 different peaceful species had come to discuss the formation of something new, the Protected Species Alliance. The concept was simple. Species that committed to peaceful development and mutual aid would receive human protection from aggressive neighbors. In exchange, they would share technology, resources, and knowledge that could benefit everyone. Kim Do observed the negotiations. From the background, amazed at how quickly the galaxy was reorganizing itself around the simple principle that attacking peaceful people was no longer safe. "Did you expect this?" Elder Threlm asked him during a break in the discussions. "Not exactly," Kim Do admitted. "We thought we were just saving your people. We didn't realize we were changing how the entire galaxy works." "Is that good or bad?" Kim Do watched delegates from dozens of species working together on treaties and mutual defense agreements. Civilizations that had never met were sharing scientific discoveries. Agricultural worlds were coordinating food distribution to prevent famines. Medical knowledge was being exchanged to fight diseases across species lines. "It's what should have happened a long time ago," he said. Not everyone was happy with the new galactic order. The Scorvax hegemony, a militaristic empire that had built its power on conquest and intimidation, decided to test human resolve by attacking a newly protected world. They learned that humans had a very specific response to species that thought they could ignore the new rules. The Scorvax homeworld woke up one morning to find human writing burned into the surface of their capital city. The message was visible from orbit. "Last warning. Choose peace or choose extinction." No one saw how the message was created. No ships were detected entering the system. The planetary defense grid never registered any threats. But somehow, 7 humans had reached the most heavily defended world in Scorvax space and left their mark without being detected. The Scorvax hegemony surrendered that afternoon. They formally apologized for their attack, paid reparations to their victims, and restructured their government to focus on peaceful development. It was the last time any major power tested human protection protocols. Songmi compiled a psychological profile of galactic civilization 6 months after first contact. Her conclusions were both simple and profound. "We've created a new social contract," she told the team during one of their regular briefings. "For the first time in galactic history, peaceful species don't have to choose between being victims or becoming predators themselves. They can stay peaceful because someone else will handle the violence for them." "Is that sustainable?" Xin Yu asked. "Can we really protect everyone?" "We don't have to protect everyone," Kim Do replied. "We just have to make sure everyone knows we will. The threat of human intervention is becoming more powerful than actual intervention." Li Na was cleaning her rifle while she listened. How many species have asked for protection this month? 17, Jiang Bo reported. But 12 of them were asking for protection from neighbors who immediately backed down when they heard humans were involved. So we prevented 12 conflicts, without firing a shot, Yuntei observed. Exactly, Kim Do said. That's the kind of warfare humans are best at, the kind where our enemies defeat themselves. Choi Jun looked up from the explosive device he was modifying. What happens when we encounter a species that isn't afraid of us? Then we remind them why fear is a survival trait, Kim Do replied. The answer came sooner than expected. Deep space. Monitors detected a new threat approaching from outside the galaxy, a species called the Devourers, who consumed entire civilizations and moved on to find new prey. They had never encountered humans, and showed no interest in negotiation or coexistence. When the first Devourer scouts entered galactic space, they found a message waiting for them on every communication frequency. You are not welcome here. Leave now or face the consequences. The Devourers ignored the warning and began their standard invasion protocol against the nearest inhabited system.